And we're live. What's going on, everybody? I'm Blockchain Crusader Crusading through these blockchains every single day. And I got my boy, CVO, aka the Paul Sampson, in the house, the TA Trading Savage. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Crusader, what are you doing? It's good to be
Bro,
here.
the market is dumping. The market is dumping.
The market is dumping, and I got to know what you are doing, bro. I got to know.
Bro, I was dollar cost averaging before this dump because I was saying, hey man, you never know. Maybe that 63, 64 level really does hold, and maybe it starts to come back up, right? So just to get some exposure, because I hadn't bought anything in a while. I averaged in a little bit, and then but I always left some dry powder on the side because I knew there's always the possibility that something tanks. And then I saw that news from the escalation happening over in the European continents, and I was like, oh, I know this thing's going to affect the markets, even though today the news on the street, right, on crypto Twitter is Mount Gox. Once again, the crypto boogeyman is back. That is the reason why Bitcoin is dumping. But realistically, I don't believe that at all. I honestly do think it has more to do with what's happening around the world. But you, my man, right, had that 58 target on your chart for a while. I saw it. I put it on my chart, kept an eye on it, and now we tapped it. We just went pop, pop, just tapped that bad boy, and it came right back up from where we were. So tell me about it. Show us the chart. What's been happening with Bitcoin? What do you foresee Bitcoin heading into? And then we'll dive into some of the altcoins here as people jump in.
For sure, man. I guess we should have tested out the old share button
The old
here.
share screen.
Let's see.
The market's having a little bit of pullback. I mean, Ondo is up 7.3%. Lido is up 15% right now.
Yeah.
Definitely some excitement happening. I don't know why, but they're jumping for some reason.
There's definitely like some bounces that are even just throughout this whole like range that we've been stuck in. So obviously everybody's pretty aware at this point. I've really just cleared off like almost everything at this point, just because at this level it's really not too relevant at the moment. Besides a couple levels up here that we just dumped away from this morning, back at the range lows. And realistically, for me personally, I don't really look to the news, as you know. Not that I think that it's like you have to completely ignore it by any means. Obviously, that's an ignorant viewpoint, but I just really stick to the analysis, primarily, and then I like to see how the news ends up kind of aligning with it. So, like you said, right, I had this level, this 58,232, marked on the chart for quite a bit. For a couple of reasons, though. Realistically, this is an untapped daily level of support, but that really isn't the main reason that I had this area really kind of identified here. So I'll kind of break down what I'm looking at here for Bitcoin, and honestly,
so what made you that? What made you identify that 58,000 if that untapped daily wasn't really the main reason? What made you look down there?
So there's a sequence of Fibonacci known as a harmonic pattern. And it's called the shark. All right. And one of two things I was looking for, as we're coming to realistically the end of this range, which I think that we're, potentially in the beginning of, that move where we're going to be breaking out of this bad boy. And realistically, being that we're at the lows is not necessarily the best thing to be viewing if you're, wanting the price to continue up.
When the shark attacks, blood, it bleeds. People bleed. So I'm assuming, oh gosh, we're gonna drop down below, man. Give me the bad news. Give me the bad news.
When the shark attacks, that's it, right? So, so this is the pattern right here, right? So, and I was kind of looking at this, while we were all the way down in these regions here, targeting 71,400 at the time. This was an untapped monthly level of resistance when we were all the way back down here. This was back from over in this time period. We came back, we tapped that. And then essentially we, came back and just, barely kind of came back to that region, but never really took that out. And then since then have moved down. And what this pattern does is it has a couple of, major targets, one being the 0.5, right? So this is just I'll go ahead and kind of even hide this out. So you take a Fibonacci retracement, take it from the low here to the high of that pattern, right?
Yep.
You get your gold pocket here, which most people would probably have been looking for earlier today. And then this pattern specifically has a tendency to just blow right through the gold pocket, which obviously we did. So the targets of this pattern are, take that off, it's the 0.5, 0.886, and the 113. and the 1618 after that. But from this, we came down to 0.5. We had a little bit of a potential here to turn this into a 5.0, which is where you'll get a bounce from the the 50% retracement spot, and you can actually come back and take the high. So I was looking to see if we were going to get that. We had, like I said, maybe a little bit of potential right here, but as soon as we started losing that today, walking into this for the week, and then definitely lost it, it was pretty much off the table. So like I said, a lot of people were probably targeting the gold pocket. Realistically, that's, I didn't personally look towards it. I was more so looking for that next target, which was the 886, which is lining up, just so happens to be on that daily as well. So that was why I was looking for basically that 58,235 area. Honestly, I don't think that that's where we're going to stop. I think we're probably going to see a little bit of a bounce here, which we've gotten already. Like you said, you've alluded to, like Ondo and some of the altcoins kind of getting a bounce. The main target of this is going to be coming down and taking the lows. So 55,000, let's just say, give or take, is the next region here. At that point, we'd be breaking out of this range, however, and I do foresee that we probably make our way down over time towards about $43,000.
Oh my geez, Louise!
I know.
Didn't even ease me into that one. Didn't even ease me into that one. Just straight penetration all the way down on 42. Jeez,
yeah, I don't think it's going to be overnight by any means, too. Like, I mean, so that's and this has already been, quite the time. This is what 3, 4, 5 months.
It's going to be slow and painfully heading down to 42.
Yeah, it looks like it's. I mean, it looks fast. I mean, but yeah, and what I mean by that too is like there's once again, if you're looking at the short term stuff, obviously there's daily opportunities each and every day. But if you're looking for like the mid to long term plays, at least for me, I'm still looking for like a sub 2K Ethereum before I start going really big heavy back into the altcoins. That's kind of been my like warning shot in the market ever since March, even, was Ethereum, and not even Bitcoin. Bitcoin just kind of slowly kind of unveiled this little pattern here at the highs. But ETH actually had a similar pattern that I was targeting all the way back from like 2 years, basically. Let me turn off some of this here and turn off some of these bad girls. And at a high time frame, similar kind of outlook here on Ethereum, right? So another harmonic pattern, so a sequence of Fibonacci's that basically outline certain areas of the chart, and then they have specific targets as well. And technically, this has already met its target. And similar with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin just came into that 0.5, that 0.886. So like the targets have been met. They don't have to keep going lower by any means. Like those are definitely some pretty good areas where we could see a reversal and turn around. I just don't necessarily think that we are, the way that we've been ranging in the regions and just the way that it's like been built up at the highs is like a huge distribution, but yet to be seen, of course. But go ahead.
What are you targeting if Bitcoin does head towards that 42,000 level you mentioned? What's your target for Ethereum to the downside level?
I imagine we hit this $2,000 area. So basically back to like this, and this is like the overall gold pocket of Ethereum, right? Since like the low, and once again, not because I'm wanting it, not because I'm wishing for it or whatever, but once again, huge pattern over 2 years, to complete. 2 specific target zones. One is the 382, which we've already came into, gotten a nice little bounce. Problem is we did not make a higher high. So when you're just looking at just simple market structure, right? Never came back, make a higher high. Now we've got lower high even on the table here. And potentially, if you start, it's a real simple one. Lose the 382, and same deal as like we just saw with Bitcoin. It's probably not going to stop short of running down to this gold pocket. This little B leg right here, gold pocket aligns. That's right at like $2,000, which is the next target of this pattern. So you got 382, and then you got the gold pocket, and the B leg is the next target. And you've also got an untapped yearly average for last year, which is like a yearly moving average that doesn't move, if put in a simple fashion. So it's an area that's likely to get hit this year. Once again, no guarantee, just something to be aware of. And when I say things like that, I know everybody gets to the point where it's like, oh, it could go up, could go down kind of stuff. But because of this pattern and because of these areas all down here, this is what keeps me from going all in at $4,000 ETH, on everything else. And I actually sold out of a lot of my positions when Ethereum hit 3280, which I know obviously wasn't the high, but I was kind of scaling out in this region, which, I mean, we're pretty much back to that level now after like 3 months. as far as my longer term, plays go, in the, basically the scenario that we do come down to these regions. So it might
So
take
how long do you think this is gonna play out? Because I've been thinking that the Q4 of 2024 was gonna be a bullish time, but how long would this kind of take? I know there's no crystal ball, like, hey, this is the date when things are gonna drop to the bottom or whatever. But what kind of, like, is your estimate time of range for something like this, for these patterns to play out?
So Bitcoin is obviously the main driver,
Yeah.
and if we're going to see a move down to those levels, I would, at this point, I mean, I would say we still probably have like maybe a month or two before we get there. So like August time, right, to see
Okay.
something along this line here,
Gonna
right?
be
Like,
a bloody July.
it could be. And but the thing is, I do want to say, like, I know everybody's kind of getting wrapped in the crypto world, right? We've been in this for so long.
Yep.
In 2021, right, the last bull market and bull run, whatever, every pullback, and it's like it's happened once again. Every major pullback, what did everybody like immediately jump to, like, as far as like a conclusion, right? It's like, oh, the bull market is over, the bear market is here.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Always.
crazy. It's not crazy, I guess. It's because everybody's fearful. It's because they're holding things and are drastically down at the moment. And months have gone by at this point where the market's not going up. And like, if what I'm looking at happens, it's going to be an even worse version of that. And but in reality, like, zooming out here, right, I still would say that we are still in a major bullish trend, right? And for me, if you missed out on this huge, I mean, this was an abnormal rally, really. I mean, this was
before the halving, hitting new all-time
yeah, I mean,
highs,
this was basically a blow off top at the end of the day, right? So I mean, and to see this kind of consolidating at these areas, could we break past it and continue up? Sure, right? And that's what everybody's kind of waiting to see.
And that's what everybody wants. Nobody wants a 42,000 big.
Right. As
now,
much as everybody like says they do want that or whatever, like most people, yeah, like you said, they won't really.
Everybody says how they want the dip, and the minute the dip shows up, everybody freaks out and is like, "This is it. It's over. I knew it was a scam. This is garbage. I'm never gonna ever." And then the moment they have a massive green candle is 200% to the upside, they're like, "I'm buying. We're back, baby. We're back."
That's it, dude. Yeah, it's a very emotional time for many people, and and that's like the other thing, right? Is everybody always wants to say that they're emotionless and all this, and if you
it's
cruise
impossible unless you're an AI robot.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got money involved, so it's like it's really hard, and like it's also really hard to sell out, and like even for myself, right? I just showed you, and I have the receipts of that too, where like I was scaling out at 3280 back in on Ethereum that I acquired back at $1,200 ETH, right? So like for me, I took 75% of that, basically that whole allocation, and I put in cash, and it's just been sitting there. I took like half of it. I put into a couple of short-term moves after that, just because the market still was going up. I flipped like a little bit into Dogecoin for 100% move, but it was like very quick moves where I was not trying to, put things into the market. And then like, I still have 25% in Ethereum, just from the $1,200 allocation, just in case the market runs away from me, right? So it's like I can sleep at night, basically, where it's like if it goes, I'm still in. If it doesn't, however, I was able to capitalize on almost 200% gains, and that's just that, right? Like on top of like I had near protocol from $1 and $2 average points, other things, right? Like so, it just. And with just Ethereum showing me that potential pattern where it's like, obviously I don't know, and it might not even come to fruition at all, right? Maybe it's already played out and whatever, but it allowed myself to be emotionless, in the sense being like, all right, I'm going to put some capital to the side. If we get this, obviously I trade the market every day. However, like, so like most people don't do that, right? So I'm in Bitcoin or Ethereum. I'm in a trade on one of the two of them roughly every day, whether it's like a short-term, day trade by itself, or like throughout the week, whatever. But the two of those I'm in and out of, and then I'm looking for. I don't really short, altcoins and leverage play altcoins, just because you don't really need to. But at the same time, it's hard to hold altcoins, throughout 70 and 90% pullbacks, right? And like that's what nobody really wants to do.
So talking about altcoins, let me bring up a conversation that people are having, right? the meme coins. I've been talking about this. I took a break from live streaming for about a month and a half, or maybe a whole month. I don't know. Felt a lot longer. Who knows? Maybe it was only a month. But I took a break because it was just too much. I was feeling the burnout, and the meme coin frenzy this cycle has been like nothing ever seen before. Before we had meme coin frenzies for like a month or two, right? When Pepe came around, it was like a 2 month thing, and then poof, meme coins were gone, dead,
Yeah.
kaput. Now they are forever lasting. Now they have created this pump.fund thing, or pump.fund, whatever it's called, that anyone and their mom can create an alt, can create a meme coin in 2 or 3 clicks. They don't even have to provide liquidity for it. They seed it themselves, and bing bang boom, you're out there with a meme coin, which has created this mania of meme coins constantly every single day.
Yeah.
What my personal opinions are that this is driving people away from regular cryptocurrencies. People are just focusing on meme coins alone because what's the word immeasurable amount of meme coins coming out every single day. You don't have to you don't have to wait for $1 billion market cap. You get in at 50K, you sell at 200K, and you jump for the next meme coin. And I believe this is affecting people to just drive them away from the regular cryptocurrencies. Before, meme coins were like the introduction, like, oh, here's a meme coin like Doge, and then come on over here to regular cryptocurrency land, right? Now we're headed into like this nonstop meme coin situation. What are your thoughts on the meme coins? Do you think the meme coins now are hurting the space more than what they were benefiting them before?
So I just think that there's always this is just this time around's NFT, at this point, because same thing. And, the celebrity stuff is like a perfect example of that too, right? Because back a couple years back, every celebrity was coming out with their own NFT. And like, as wild as that is, man, like I couldn't imagine being somebody like, Jason Derulo just came out with something today. I can't really keep up with them all, but like you got like Hulk Hogan, Iggy Azalea, you got Tate, and that's just a few. There's literally probably like 20, big names that should have nothing to do with like, cryptocurrencies and whatever. And they don't ever talk about anything except for when they're trying to pump something of their own or come out when the market's at highs. And I mean, it's just like, I think that's just the normal, like, get rich quick, GameStop type of thing where people are going to try to get into them. The same thing that we've seen a million times over, where like 1 out of 1,000 actually, takes off and, becomes a Pepe or becomes a Doge. And even if people are in that from an early stage, they never sell it. It's because it's something that they're going to continue to think it's going to go higher, or they didn't really put like any sizable money into it. So they have to have it 1,000x before, it's really even anything worthwhile. As far as hurting the space, I don't honestly, like, and looking at like the other, I know you mean like nothing else is really moving, right? So it's like everything else has been either
all the focus on the meme coins,
even bleeding, so to speak. It's just, I think it's just like a little sector rotation. I mean, it's just like those are the micro cap. Oh, that's actually a better way to put it, right? So small caps, micro caps, like that's like our new version or the current like micro caps in the market. We've kind of gotten booted, at least in the US, from like KuCoin, right? Which used to be like the haven of the small caps, where we could go on and you had all these like sub $1 million cryptos that, anybody could really kind of get into. And you had a chance for them to like 100x or 10x or 20x pretty quickly. And generally those popped towards the end of I don't want to say like a cycle, but an end of a move, right? So like even just like back in 2021, right after we had that pretty parabolic rise to like the first time we topped out at 60 something thousand in the summer, right before we had that big fall, all the micro caps were popping like crate for weeks. And that's really what happens too, is like it goes for weeks, or like you said, maybe even months, or it seems like it's never ending and they kind of come and they kind of go. But so far it's been like the last few months have been pretty heavy.
They've been pretty stable on the meme coin thing, right? Before it used to be like just for a short period of time, everybody was talking about meme coins and then they would disappear, and a while later it'll come back. But now it's just like even now, though, even though Bitcoin's dropping, Ethereum's dropping, there's still some meme coins out there popping 1,000%, 500%, 200% or whatever. They're buying this meme coin, that meme coin. Before it was like there's a move, there's a cycle, right? Altcoins are rallying. You get a little, little meme coin frenzy, and then boom, the altcoins stop moving. Meme coins disappear, go away,
Yeah.
and a few stick around like Pepe or whatever, and that's it. But now they're not going away. It's like they're just sticking around forever. And I know at some point it's probably going to go away, right? When the real bear market kicks in and most liquidity leaves the market, nobody's going to be moving these meme coins anymore.
I would say that it's probably still like in the normal phase that it goes through. Like, even though it's like, it seems like it's lasting a little longer. Excuse me. The move from $30,000 Bitcoin to 74 was basically a whole quarter, a little bit more even, right? So October of last year to January, March, so 2 quarters. So it took 6 months, right? This move right here, I guess what I'm kind of talking on. Ethereum, if you ever seen that little chart where it's like Bitcoin and then ETH and then alts and micro caps and whatever, like with the money.
Oh yeah, the cycling of money.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just that cut and dry, but we did have, once again, a pretty large, just like, what is this, January to 15 months basically, and it wasn't always up, right? Even this boring time, this scary time. I mean, we went through this like 4 times, in 2023 even. It
didn't start to feel good until like September, October of last year,
right?
When we really started to take off,
and that was after another not so good feeling day, right, where we had that this little small pullback here was from 32,000 to like 24, 23 depending, so that was like 25% pullback. Anyways, but like Bitcoin saw its rally, and really nothing else did. Maybe a few memes here and there if you really had to hunt them down. But then essentially that last quarter of the year, I know everybody's wanting the altcoin season now. Obviously, look, that's hindsight at this point, but that was probably our altcoin season, was Q4 of last year to some degree, when you had Solana go from, granted it took a whole year, but like Solana went from like $8 to over almost 200 in that 12-month period, and things like that. Some of the bigger cryptos saw some really, really big moves along with everything else. And then now we've just kind of now it's just where the memes have been kind of taken over for really the last couple months. And like I said, not to compare it to this cycle, that cycle, but just in general of a move, right? You had this huge move, you had all the altcoins and everything already kind of taken off, and then you had all the small caps really busting for weeks at a time, to the point where everybody that's holding regular cryptos are like frustrated, and they're like, oh man, this isn't, my XRP isn't moving, I'm watching all these things 10x, I'm going to dump this, I'm going to finally get into this. And then that's like, and maybe they get a few days or a week or maybe a little taste of some, some green. And then it's, towards that time where it's like you're coming in after like all these things have already ran, just like anybody coming into even, Bitcoin at 60 to 70K up in this region, or Ethereum back again in the $3,000 to $4,000 range, because they're so pumped about the ETFs. We've just been seeing those meme coins kind of like unfold right now. And honestly, I just look at them like micro caps, and I think that it's like a pretty I guess not, nothing's guaranteed, but it's just something that makes me just think that it's one of those times where those are going to run out soon enough too. And the fact that all of the I guess they're called celebrities, but the more famous like people that are coming out like just randomly with their own coin. I think I just saw another one. It was random as can be when I was just posting the thing on Twitter, and either way. But yeah, so it's interesting. I don't think it's hurting the market in the sense of like, I think it's just always kind of been around. I know that everybody, and once that's the same thing, right? As everybody wants their project to pump, and they feel that it's because of this or it's because of that, and I'm sure it all kind of correlates together. But at the end of the day, everybody comes into things when it's the wrong time, and I think that's really where it comes down to, and goes all in. And that's the other problem, is like, if you're coming into even a meme coin right now, right? And maybe there's still a few more weeks of those popping off, but if you go all in, on that one, and tomorrow, Bitcoin dumps to 40K or something crazy, like it's just one of those things, right? Where you guys still have a strategy with that even as well. And some people do really well at hunting those things down. I'm sure that at the end of the day too, some people with huge communities behind them, even though they might not mean to do it, like if, you and I had 500,000 people behind us, and we had a secret Discord where we're like, hey, I'm looking at this, and even though you're not meaning
all
to
those whale groups,
like 500,000 people pile into that thing, like then it pops off, like it's just like that still happens today too.
People don't really understand how like really successful meme coins really work. There's all these whale groups out there that people that developers or teams, they pay for to be be called into one of these groups, and then a bunch of money piles in. It goes up $2, $3, $4 million market cap easy, right? And depending on the price you pay is the quality of the group and how far the group can take you. So there's a lot of things that in the team themselves owning large amounts of supply, 50%, 60% of supply of a meme coin to make sure that they sustain floor prices. There's a lot of things that go into a meme coin to truly make it successful in the very long term that the average person doesn't really understand. And it takes time and it takes exposure to these things, right? They're like not well known. Average influencer either isn't involved or doesn't disclose, not about disclosing, but like doesn't themselves truly understand. I for a long time didn't understand myself until I got invited into one of these whale groups and I started asking questions and seeing how things are running and things. I was like, damn, so that's how it works. Like it's just like the NFTs back in the last bull market. NFTs back in the last bull market, you would see a random NFT just pop out of nowhere, 200 ETH trading volume day one. You're like, oh man, this is the next Bored Ape. Why? Because they would pay some Chinese team or some Chinese whatever, some people in some other country, right, where $1, $1,000 here, and they would pile in a ton of ETH volume, right? Just circulating, what is it called? They call it wash trading, a bunch of volume, buying and selling the NFTs to each other in this massive array of people or bots, I would say, to make it look decentralized, to make it look unique, and pump up the volume so that the radars of these other teams and stuff and OpenSea whatever can pick it up and then put more focus on it and people would jump in. And that's what would make these projects successful for a short period of time until they fizzled out. Same kind of things are happening in the background for a lot of meme coins, and people don't really understand. But long story short, outside of the meme coin space, I've been taking a look at Render, right? So I missed Render's massive run to the upside. I was looking at Render's price just the other day on the chart, and I don't really see a lot of volume under like $7. Between $7 and like $4, there's like nothing. There's a naked point of control down at like 450, but that's like a 40% pullback from where we're at right now for Render, right? Render's a pretty large market cap. It's sitting currently at $7.48. It's had a little bit of a pump today, 5.8%. Actually, let me share my screen here real quick. Where are we at? Here we go. So Render's had a little 5.8% pump today. Kind of the last hour or so, altcoins have been bouncing here as Bitcoin's been bouncing a little bit. But I don't see, right, sitting at 2.9 billion market cap. I personally don't believe that Render could drop 40% from here. But with what you were talking about, Bitcoin's price dropping down to 42 from where we're at right now, then the possibilities start to bring up. So my question is, what are some critical levels that you're looking at or you could find for Render to the downside, if you have anything prepared? I know I might be putting you a little bit on the spot here.
No, yeah, we could just look at it together. I kind of picking up what you were putting down too on the naked point of control. You said something like 475 or something, right? Or
yeah, let me see if I can pull up my chart and I can show you what I'm talking about. Let me see, where's my Render chart here? Is this my Render chart? No, this is the 1 hour. Let me jump out to the daily. Yeah, so I got a bunch of ranges, a bunch of garbage everywhere. A bit of a mess. I don't have my clean chart like you do. I gotta learn how to keep it clean like you. But there's a monthly naked point of control for February sitting down at 475, and then obviously there's a quarterly range for the quarter. For quarter one of this year, there's also a point of control down at $3.85. But the one I was targeting, which is $4.78, give or take, for the point of control, which is from February of this year. Because since February, we had a very aggressive move to the upside. And since then, we've been kind of stuck up here between 10 and $7, but now we seem to be heading lower. And if Bitcoin drops, I just don't see anything that could potentially hold render up here. But maybe you can see something different. Maybe you can see some other levels, some gold pockets, some Fibonacci retracements. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. So, and that's kind of like what I'm looking at on a lot of the alts and what I've been doing for quite a while. And you can share the chart now or this my screen. Is kind of looking for, and once again, like, if this doesn't occur, it is what it is. But yeah, same deal like you were just saying, right? It's like if Bitcoin did have a pretty decent pullback, you don't want to be what's the word, not scouring, but like kind of running around last second trying to figure out, what your levels are, where you want to be getting into altcoins.
Yeah, you got to have a plan, right? You got to
Right,
have a
that-
plan. Like,
because
hey, if it breaks this level, it's potentially heading to this other level. And if it gets to this level, this is where I'm going to start dollar cost averaging, start buying. Because if not, you just kind of just waiting the sideline. You never know when it's a good time to get in or not to get in, if it's going to head lower, and people just can't manage their risk without a plan.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, on a simple just outlook here, this is a Q1 range for this year. And I guess we could even just look at, we're almost 6 months into the year here. So yeah, we're kind of at the low side of that. So however we want to look at it, but for me, I'd probably look at if we're going to put some alerts like way lower, or just look for like some key levels for like stink bids almost, right? Like where you just put in your buys and hope you get filled on it. Yeah, I'm looking probably for right now we're sitting in the gold pocket basically of this last swing low to the swing high, pretty much just kind of consolidating in this region. And so it could be an area we kind of bounce out of, jet out of from here. But for me, if I was looking to buy into something here, I'd be looking to a retrace to 450, which is Q1's point of control here. You got an 886 retracement zone right there as well, and then potentially even just like the low of the range at 340. Now I do have this little area highlighted here. I don't know if we're going to see something like this because that's like an 80% pullback, but that would be like if you got like just a stink bid, right? Where you see like all those times where like on days where just Bitcoin just absolutely nukes and you get those crazy 40% wicks in one day.
Yep.
That's probably where I'd set that one. But that's probably a rarity, right? So like, and could it happen? Maybe, but I'd more so be looking for this one right here, which, like you said, I mean, that's like a 40% pullback. If you get it, and that's even if you were to look in a dollar cost average, and we did kind of still pull back a little bit, I'd rather be getting in at 40% lower than where we are now, than trying to get in now at this gold pocket or at this little area at these lows and kind of hope that we get the rise. It totally could happen, but it's just on a risk management perspective. If this is where you want to be, if you got in lower, it's great to see us in this region. But if you're looking for a brand new position or a fresh entry, I'd be eyeballing that 450 area.
Yeah,
sure.
man, that was my thinking. My thinking was I had no exposure to render throughout the entire run up to the upside. Had a nice pullback right from the top of like $13 or whatever it was, pulled back to below $10, below $7, or actually below $8. And I said, well, I'm going to buy a little bit, get some exposure here. Bought about maybe about $1,000 worth of render around this price point. But after looking at the chart, I was like, I'm not buying anymore, because if Bitcoin does come down, and Bitcoin is coming down now, right, I'm not going to be buying more until we start getting closer to these levels. Now, maybe we never come down to $4 or whatever it is, or $3 and some change. That's fine. I got my exposure at $7 or some change, right? And if we do come down, I'm willing to buy more again at a way lower price and dollar cost average down. But if we don't, at least I got some exposure to it. And then if we run back up, then awesome. But yeah, man, I was concerned about render for that one reason. I was like, dude, I'm not seeing nothing out here besides these naked point of controls down at 420 something and 380 something. I was like, geez Louise, that's a huge drop for render. But if it's gonna come, let's go. Render is definitely one on my list for $2 cost average. Another one is Pata's here. He's saying all coins are running: Render, AVAX, ADA, VeChain, Ondo. I've been buying Ondo. I bought Render. Been buying AVAX. I have not bought ADA recently. I bought ADA. I bought all my ADA in the bear market. Haven't bought any ADA since last year. And VeChain, I bought a very small, maybe bought like $500 of VeChain earlier in this bull market, like maybe December time, maybe around that time. I haven't bought since then again. So I guess my other question would be the next altcoin target that I would be looking for would be AVAX and Ondo. Ondo's been holding up really strong with these pullbacks. AVAX, not so much. AVAX has been melting like butter. Me Litecoin vibes from 2017. It's sitting at that like $25 range. It was holding 30 for a good amount of time, but then it lost 30. Now it's in the 20s. AVAX's all-time high is somewhere around $150. I believe as a layer one, AVAX has got the potential. It also has a limit supply like Bitcoin. I think it's only like 14. I forget what the limit supply is, but it's a limited supply. AVAX has got a really good diversification between meme coins, NFTs, crypto gaming, real world assets, all being built on AVAX. So I think it has potential to at least hit all-time highs. I've been buying AVAX at $30 and buying some here. The last time I bought was somewhere around in the 20s. What are some critical levels for AVAX to the lower side? Because the upside is great. Doesn't matter. Upside is all-time highs always, right? But to the lower side, what are some critical levels here for AVAX? Because it's been melting like butter, bro. This thing's just been tanking.
Yeah, no, I mean, and the majority of altcoins, I mean, that's definitely, unfortunately, the way
I had a pretty decent run up to $60, and I thought I had missed out on AVAX. I hadn't really scooped up any, but I waited, started buying in the 30s, and about 33, 35. Been there for a while now. Bought a little bit there, bought a little bit more below 30 now. And I plan on buying some more AVAX, but I would love to see what are some of the lower levels that you're looking at for AVAX right now. So now you're just picking out some horizontals, and
I got so like
making point of controls.
Yeah, there's a pretty big gap in between the two of them, though, unfortunately. But yeah, and it all kind of comes down to that Bitcoin move, right? So like if we get that, and because at that point, I mean, really anything's off the table, or not really anything. Nothing is off the table, I guess, for like the altcoin pullbacks, right? So, and these drastic moves have just kind of remind me of like the 2018 window of time where, once again, not like doing a cycle versus cycle, but we just saw so many times where the altcoins got these really big bursts. Cardano was a good example. Like Cardano was like from 3 cents to like 9 cents. So like, 200% move. Just to go give it all back, right, over a few months period of time. XRP was a really big one as well. That would get 150% move just to give it all back over the coming months. And then you finally break out, and get got sizable moves, years later. So, the other altcoins are kind of doing that at the moment. As far as like a big pullback zone for Avalanche, looking at, just the same thing, like Q1's range here. All right. We're back in that with a vengeance. Generally, you're going to seek out the point of control, which is untapped, so naked at the moment, which is just below us, $21. So I would imagine we get a little bit of support bounce from there, but it wouldn't be worth like, just jumping in, just because we're going to be in the middle of the range here. And then once again, kind of looking at Bitcoin, maybe seeing a little bit more downside. So for me, honestly, it would probably be, people may not be excited about it, but you would be if you wanted to get some new fresh entries. But for me, it would be back to like an $8 to $10.
Jeez Louise.
And that's kind of a worst case. Really, there's an untapped yearly level down below here from last year. So I mean, you're talking like $11 coming down and actually like sweeping the low would be pretty gnarly.
And that would completely erase all of AVAX gains the entire bull market so far. That's
right.
Intense.
And look, it's one of those times where we're in a downtrend at the moment, so it's easy to like really like point out like, oh, I could go 50% lower, and obviously there's potential to get like 20% support bounce where we are right now, right, or even at that point of control. So these aren't like overnight type of things once again. So it's like, even this was from October of last year to see a move to the high. So like, that was several months. This has been several months. If we get this, probably a few more months. Same thing as that, like maybe the end of the summer type of thing. And this is all kind of leaning on the idea that, if Bitcoin sees that pullback, this is just where I'd have my alerts for Avalanche, right? This is, we might not get it, but if I'm looking to get like fresh, like mid to long-term hold entries for Avalanche, is going to be like $10-15, let's just say, right? And then obviously if you get a little lower, then that's great. And we're sitting at $25 right now, so that's not a huge move away, in my opinion. So it's just that's just how I would look at it. And then on the flip side of that, it's got a lot of upside. And then, like I said, looking back at when we were talking about Cardano years ago, went from 3 cents to 6 cents, 3 cents to 6 cents, 3 cents to 9 cents, 3 cents to $3, right? 100x. Eventually, these will, potentially break out. Maybe they don't see all-time highs again, but even just if we pushed from these lower areas back to where we were just a few months ago, I mean, that's a huge, increase. It's 100 or 200% move. You've got, $76 is a big one. And then for me personally, I'm targeting, all the way back up to $98 at some point. That's not even all-time high. That's just, a major target zone for this little area down here. So we'll see.
Hey, I'm very confident on the upside for AVAX. It's the downside that's got me not that I'm worried about it, because I'm like, pullbacks don't worry me. Even if we pull down, Bitcoin pull down to 42, whatever, I know Bitcoin's going to break, or, I believe Bitcoin's going to break 100K this bull market with everything that's happening. I think there's a lot more time left in the bull cycle, altcoins, yada, yada, right? Maybe I'm completely wrong. It could be the first time ever that the bull market is cut short and everybody's completely wrong and, everything goes to Fugazi. But I just love to, really see some of the levels to really start packing the bags for some of these altcoins, because, man, I honestly think that this is one of the last bull markets where people are going to be able to just really experience massive explosive growth on some of these altcoins. I know there's always going to be some more bull runs later down the line, but I think it's just going to be different later down the line with these ETFs. And as we get more ETFs with altcoins, there's going to be like altcoin indexes. And I think I honestly do think there's some potential for some Fugazi later down the line, where the majority of crypto stuff is kind of regulated and pushed into ETFs and not so much of being your own holder and holding your own keys, and how these exchanges in the United States might work. Who knows? Anything's possible. Maybe nothing happens and everything's great. Mr. Orange gets in office and just says, "Hey, bro, be your own bank, whatever. Buy my NFTs. Here we go." And it's all fun and games moving forward. But
so I will say that after this Ondo trial, take a look again at Bitcoin, because I do agree on the idea, and now we're just getting into speculation at this point, because obviously the farther we're trying to look out, obviously we have no you just lose the probable outlook, let's just say that, right? So I'm no long-term guesstimator, I guess, right? I tried that back in the day, didn't work out too well. But so Ondo for fresh entries, not too much data here. I'm looking at the perpetual contract though, so I don't know if there's probably some more. There has to be.
Not really. It came out in January, so that's pretty much all of it. Yeah.
Then I mean, this is a good looking chart at the moment, and the reason I say that is because it is just up and to the right. You're not seeing this completely just give it all back quite yet, at least. Never know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty sure if you draw some trend lines on that thing, it's very bullish.
Yeah, and I've actually traded and just spot buys, like buys and buy gold pocket pullbacks, and so like literally this little area right here, I believe, several times. Or maybe it was over here. Either way, it was it does trade really nicely, and that's just even, like I said, no leverage is needed. You don't even have to short it. Just looking for an area to come in and pick up some spot entries, hold on Coinbase, even trusted exchange to some degree, or throw it on your cold wallets or whatever. But as far as a fresh entry, same deal. It's definitely seen a pretty big rise. It's got a nice little pullback from the high to just where we are currently is like 20% off the highs. It's seen as low as 32. But for me, like as a risk management, like I wouldn't want to be picking it up right here, only because I would just want a better, entry basically. Right. So I will say that this is, bouncing off. There's not much data to go off of. So, it is what it is, but we've got the last range here that I've got pulled up. And it is, holding that as support, right? So you got this breakout, and on a daily time frame, you just got wicks into here, wick into here, but we're really holding it. So for me, if you start closing back below 110 on a daily base, I'm looking to pick it up right here. So 76 cents, which doesn't really sound,
76 cents was holding up as very strong support when we were there before we had the big breakout to
right
over
here.
$1. Look at that. Look, I'm just there sitting on top of 70 cents. I thought it was gonna break. Obviously, it broke a few times, especially back in April when
right here.
I remember that it was like April 13th or something like that on a Saturday when Bitcoin took a giant shit.
50%.
Because once again, somebody shot a missile somewhere and freaking everything dumped. But since then, Aldo has been holding that 70 something cent level very, very strongly. So yeah, I would also be a buyer around that 70 cent level once again, because I think it can hold support.
That's definitely what I'd be looking for too. All right. So I did just want to kind of touch on Bitcoin, right? So, I'm by no means a big bear or perma bear or anything of that nature. I would love to see this market go higher, no less than anybody else. And, but got to be prepared for the things. And the one thing you'll see a lot too is that a lot of people do like fall in love with their bias or what direction they want to see, and then they like almost blind themselves to it, right? So even for me, like as much as I have a case for $43,000 Bitcoin, let's just say, like I'm not like married to that and blindly like I'm not doing nothing until we hit $43,000 Bitcoin, right? I'm not buying anything, I'm not doing anything, right? Like I'm constantly looking for new data, for new opportunities, what have you. And overall, I still anticipate that we will see 100,000 plus Bitcoin on this. I think everybody, I think everybody gets really wrapped up in calling it the bull market, or the bull run, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a thing. When it's a time frame, right? So or even like a movement, I guess you could call it. But you look at the stock market, right? And it's been in a bull market forever. Like when everybody really talks about the stock market, you zoom out and it's always blah blah blah. However, there's been incredible pullbacks, right? I mean, realistically, Bitcoin is almost in the same kind of scenario here, right? We've had huge moves up, huge moves down, huge moves up. If we get this move down, right, to this little area down here. And the $35,000 area is on here because similar to Ethereum, right? That's just a high time frame average for the year. Once again, I'm not like aimlessly looking for, consistently looking for lower and lower and lower. I mean, I would love to say go all in zone, but even then I probably still wouldn't go all I'm blindly longing everything. But if I'm looking for the best entries on Bitcoin, once again, or my idea of what a fresh entry would be, or when Bitcoin gets to a place, I'm buying this altcoin type of mentality. It's going to be this box right here, right? So $35,000 to $43,000 Bitcoin. And assuming that we continue higher, after this, because even that, this would not be, let's just see what the overall move here, right? So if you take a Fibonacci retracement, right, which I hope we all know, are comfortable or familiar with that at this point. And essentially what I'm doing here, right, is I'm chopping up the price action for this region right here, right? This is 0, this is 100%, all right? And then you got 50%, 25%, 50%, 75%, and then so on and so forth, right? And you're getting your retracements. And generally, you get to that gold pocket, which is the 61.8 to 65% retracement of a certain region. So of this whole move, this would be 65% of it retraced, right? And that's all a gold pocket is in that sense. And you can even do that from the bottom to the top. I hope that makes sense to some degree.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, look at where that actually sits. I haven't looked at this in quite a while because I've just known like 35K has been on my mind, I guess, for so long. But like that's an interesting spot for this to be. And realistically, how many of it's over, the bull market is done, the bear market is back, the blah 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 blah, how much of that would occur? And like all this,
it'd be very similar to what we saw back in May of 2021,
right there, right?
2021, where everything dumped down to it went from, what were we at, 40 something, 50 something, came all the way down to freaking $30,000 Bitcoin, and they were like, "This is it, it's over, it's done." And then it chopped around there for a little bit, and then boom, ran right back up later in the year, back up to 60,000 or 70,000, whatever it was, the all-time high,
right?
Before coming back down.
So I did just want to like kind of line up an idea. Like, once again, this is speculation at this point, right? We don't know what's going to happen, but just building out a thought process or a thought experiment, if you will. And let's just say we nuke till August, September, right? That's the end of this coming up quarter. Like you just said, quarter four, probably see some fireworks to the upside. I fully agree with that in the sense of timing as well, right? So if we're looking at this in the sense of time and we get a couple months to the downside, just like we got right here, when did we actually get a big bounce out of this region? This was August. Not to say it has to happen again, same thing, blah, 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 past performance stuff, but the timing of certain quarters does align with certain things, right? And then, yes, we're going to have the
Bitcoin is usually pretty well performing in quarter fours of the years in the bull cycle times.
We're going to have the elections, all that good stuff. And I bring that up because that's what people will, allocate the, the reasoning, right? If you need a reason why the market pumps, it's going to be because of the elections. Just like right now, like you and I have talked about 35K, which once again, I'm not targeting 35,000 specifically, but that region, if we see it, we've been talking about that since the beginning of the year, right? Like it's no news needed. I'm sure there's going to be news that goes along with it, but I'm fully prepared for a move to this region.
There's always news, right? Just like today, the Bitcoin dropped. I was talking about, escalations over in Europe, and the big boogeyman news was Mt. Gox is going to start dumping the Bitcoin now, finally. And it's like, no, I don't think Mt. Gox is
Mt. Gox, man. Mt. Gox is like the new China band.
Dude, it's the boogeyman of crypto. Anytime you need something to blame for Bitcoin's drop, Mt. Gox. Mt. Gox has been talked about for the last 2-3 bull markets, and nothing's happened. But every time it drops, it's Mt. Gox. Guys, it's Mt. Gox. It's coming. It's coming. It's like XRP. Any minute now, it's going to move.
Dude, it's it. After this move, though, yeah, I fully imagine we see something where we get, this is now a trend-based Fibonacci extension. So from that low to the high, and wherever we put in the low, right? We haven't, maybe it's here, we already put it in. We just break out.
Let's say it's down there somewhere between 42 and 35, whatever.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I've been like, preparing for, I suppose. And once again, this is straight speculation. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just, saying that this is a potential.
Just a what if.
But yeah, so let's just say we come in and we meet in the middle, we hit the gold pocket of this, whatever. On the way back up, which I'm looking at like Q4, Q1 next year, you're talking at least back to the all-time high, probably something similar to this. And then everybody, probably thinks we top out. And I don't know, like that's just an idea, because we did the same thing back here. Actually, this was actually like a trend-based gold pocket. It was just above the previous all-time high. And that's actually where we topped out. So we might have a similar situation, but we'll see. But otherwise, looking at the 1-to-1, right? So that's basically just a measured move almost of this area right here, projected off the low. But then realistically, it's the 1.618 for me that I'd be interested to see if we actually run it up to. So
that's because why? Because of the time frame. Because earlier in the show, you explained the shark.
We have to gauge it as we go, but like,
okay, I was just asking because earlier in the show you explained the shark and how the shark actually.
Oh yeah, no, this has no like that's just
some other.
There's no pattern going along with it. That's just an extension as far as the target would go. So. But yeah, so I mean that's kind of the idea. So it's not all doom and gloom, I guess, is what I want to point out. But it is definitely a time where, like, if you're trying to, like, if at least for me, you do you, right? We're not financial advisors. I'm just been preparing myself so that if this setup does unfold, and it probably won't be perfectly like I just outlined, obviously, could change 10 times over by the time we get to the end of the year. And maybe like
something similar, who knows?
Yeah, maybe we just blow through the highs and go from here. I just have a hard time believing that we go like to 100K from where we are now, with the way that the market is has been like unfolding, right? So it's like we've been trending right at these highs. Everybody's been just like, it's a guarantee we're going to 100K, and you've kind of seen it. And like, I know everybody gets wrapped up in the whole like, oh, the retail's not here, my friend's not asking, my people that don't usually talk about crypto aren't asking me, whatever. I allocate that is like, sometimes it's just the crypto bros that get screwed. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have, me, right? Like, sometimes it's just
the crypto bros make it seem like they always
doesn't have to be our friends and family. Like they came in back in the day, but I think that they're like, I'm done with that stuff.
Yeah, man. They always make it seem like the crypto bros got an advantage on the exit liquidity, and it's like sometimes the crypto bros are the exit liquidity, right?
For sure,
They
dude.
will continue to think that things are gonna run up forever, and they're just not. They're just not gonna happen. It doesn't matter if retail's here or not. The institutional players are here. They're moving the markets around. Whether retail, right? Whether your Uber driver is buying or not doesn't really matter. Institution is buying, is selling, and they're gonna push the markets around however they want,
That was what
which
I
is
was gonna
something different.
That
Which
was
is
what I was
something
gonna
different this
say
time.
too, and sorry to cut you off there, but one of the biggest things this currently, at least, it's not even a this. There's always gonna be something, right? So,
Yeah.
is the ETFs, right? So
Mhm.
which obviously there's a lot of money backing and coming in and being moved around with these ETFs, but like that was like kind of a little worrisome that everyone was and still potentially is like when I look at like a $35,000 to $43,000 Bitcoin, it's like the first thing I get asked is how is that possible with all the ETFs, right? Everybody's doing all, and it's like people can short ETFs too. I mean, like, yeah, what do you like? I don't know what, like it says like the amount of
They take profits too.
yeah, it's just the amount of almost certainty that we were just gonna go to 100K. And we still are, like, people are still it's on the fence. Obviously, everybody, like on a day like today, when you get into the lows,
Yeah.
what I'm bringing up like makes a little bit more. People are like a little bit more like, oh, okay, I could see that. When I was talking about 35 and 43 at 70K, yeah, there's a little bit
They're
like,
like, no
you're an
way.
idiot. Yeah,
What are
you're
you
an idiot.
talking
Yeah.
about?
But yeah, it's just one of those things, man. Like the market, is going to move, and you got to just figure out a system to map out areas that you would feel comfortable getting involved in. And like for me, I know where I'm going to get involved in. You said it earlier too. Like it's just like you don't have to always be involved. Like if I miss Ondo, or something at 100X's from here, like that sucks. But like I didn't want to get in after it was already up 200%. Like so it's like that's just
I wasn't gonna buy render at $14 or whatever it was after I had a massive run, right? Like I just wasn't. I was like, hey, I missed the render. If it comes back, because at some point it does, it always does, right? It doesn't always go up forever, no matter how good the crypto is, no matter how good the narrative of AI or whatever is. There's always gonna be a moment where there's a pullback. The altcoin seasons always die out at some point. They take a rest, things get too overheated, they pull back, and then there's gonna be an opportunity to get back in. So I just waited. I just waited for render, and I've been waiting for a few other ones as well. Right? Injective looked like it never was going to pull back. Injective was like a $60, $70, and it was just nothing but up. And everybody's like, Injective is the next greatest, biggest thing ever. It's gonna take over Ethereum, yada yada. It's like, guys, there's an airdrop farming season where people are just farming. Where are the airdrops now? Nobody's talking about them. They are gone. And since they are gone, nobody's talking about Injective. Nobody is staking on Injective. Nobody was doing jack squat on Injective. And Injective, right, took a dump and is back down to the 20s because it moved up too aggressively, too quickly. If I would have bought Injective at $60 buying into the FOMO, I'd be stuck right under the bus. Not that I'm not okay with being underwater in positions long term, but I just knew that wasn't a good time. I knew that there was going to be a pullback. If I was just patient, I would have pulled back. Right, just with Chainlink. Chainlink was like at $20, and it was like Chainlink is going to 100. Okay, maybe it is, but I definitely think before we get to 100, there's going to be a pullback where I'm going to be able to buy Chainlink at way cheaper than $20, and we are. Chainlink pulled back, and I've been buying under $16. I've been dollar cost averaging on my way down, and if it keeps dropping, right, I've bought enough now where if it doesn't drop anymore, it's okay. If it goes up, and if it does drop, I'll wait for a bigger drop to be able to, okay, I'm gonna bring my average down if we go like below $10 or something for Chainlink. So it's just one of those things. Just got to be patience. But I wanted to ask you, now that you are free, you're a free agent once again. Hashtag unverified, right? You were verified, now you're hashtag unverified. Tell the people, where can they find you? What are you doing? Where can people find you? Where can people follow you? How can they join you? How can they become a savage trader like you? let the people know. Just give the people some information since now you are a free
The
agent.
only savage here is you, sir. Yeah. So Twitter is kind of like my hub. Where you can like get the link tree for any like all.
You are a savage at Twitter.
I try to be. But yeah, YouTube. I'm a little bit all over the place, similar to yourself. I got TikTok. I've got a Discord, the leading crypto Discord server. If you're interested to try that out, it's all the analysis I do, all the trade setups, everything like that. Aside from that, yeah, Twitter and TikTok. I'm picking up my longer form content game like yourself here. So I'll try to be putting out some bigger videos. But yeah, no, and then hopefully I'll be here with you, a couple times a week or whatever, once a week at least, and we'll pick back up on the TA Tuesday or Thursday or whatever day.
Dude, you're always welcome to be on the show. You can come on the show every day if you want to. So the schedule is up to you, my friend.
Man, I've been thinking about making a block, around the blockchain version, more so for TikTok. How they, I don't know if they do that anymore, right? I don't.
Yes, they do. Where a bunch of people go live together.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like that channel doesn't do it anymore necessarily. I always thought that was kind of a cool, just thing, especially when you had like TA people and fundamentals, different view. Like I just really like that. I know it's a kind of a tough thing to like get like 5 people scheduled, but we should maybe link up and try to do something like that with some other creators. But yep, there's me, my Santa Claus thumbnail.
So CVO Crypto. So it's CVO Crypto everywhere, right? CVO Crypto on Twitter, CVO Crypto on TikTok, right? It's CVO _crypto everywhere.
That's it, baby.
Okay, cool, awesome. Making sure everybody sees it. You get on in here, start becoming a savage once again, because #unverified is better than #verified. I can tell you that. So you have you have a Discord. What are you doing in that Discord for the people so that they know? It's not just like, oh, come hang out with me, whatever. What are you doing?
No. Yeah, I put up daily updates. So like I said, I actively trade Bitcoin and Ethereum every single day. Whether or not it's just a short like daily range or we have like weekly. I put up all the relevant ranges and everything. Kind of give a trading plan. I don't necessarily give alerts. I did do that with another company, and the only reason I kind of decided against it a little bit, granted, for the couple months I did do the alerts, like had over like 300% in wins, and it was definitely it was an experience. But what I found out really quickly, dude, with like alerts, man, is like everybody is like only like waiting with bated breath, and like if I'm not around and something happens, it's like the comments, everything floods in. Like, what do I do?
Where are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Chris, CBO, what are you doing? The market is dumping. So I'm kind of like more so leaning into more of an educational approach, right? Like, so I put up all the setups. Obviously, it's kind of up to you on how you want to react to them. And then obviously I'm going to put up I've got a academy section where I'm going to be dropping daily educational content on how I identify these areas, the context behind them, the difference of like, the Monday range versus, the weekly range in the middle, it's just like things that like how to kind of break down the charts and analyze it like throughout each week, month, day. Because every day there's just new data and there's a different way to approach the market, as well as, exclusive updates. So I do like video, updates just for the members a couple times a week as well. And then, everybody can chat in there, post their charts. There's people in there that give feedback and, post as well. So it's just a pretty cool community, and it's not news driven at all. So like if you're, which I don't like, turn anybody away if they're talking news, or I personally have no, I can't add anything for the news stuff, unfortunately. That's why I actually really enjoy coming on here with you. Cause like, when you text me that thing about, market was going to dump today last night, and because there was that news, I was like, oh well, that makes sense at least. So like I said, it's funny because I was looking for a drop.
You got to find the confluence, right?
Sometimes you got to find correlates,
between news and TA.
I just the time it takes to kind of keep up with the news for me, it's just too much. So I just kind of put all the focus in one end, and but people are very successful with obviously doing the fundamentals and the news and everything as well. And if you could put all that together, then kudos. But yeah, come check it out, and looking forward to being back on here with you, my man.
Yeah, bro. I gotta get more active in your Discord and start jumping in there, trading more, bro. I don't know what I've been doing, bro. I don't know what I've been doing. I was trading a lot earlier this year, and then everything got crazy, and then I just have not been able to get back on the wagon because I'm a momentum guy. I'm a guy where it's like when I start something, I got 1 day, I got 2 days, I got 3 days, and every day that goes by that I get it done, it just becomes part of me. But if I fall off the wagon, oh man, is it hard to get back on? It is terrible. It
Dude,
is
you
terrible.
haven't been staying hard, bro.
No, bro, I have not been staying hard. Absolutely not. I've been limp as you can. I've I haven't been going to the gym. I haven't been trading. I took a whole month off from streaming. I have been as soft as can be, bro. I have not been staying hard at all. David Goggins is hunting me down right now
Oh, he's coming for
because,
you, bro.
dude, I've been terrible about it. I've been terrible.
All right, I'll keep you accountable. You have to do the same for me.
Let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm definitely down for the TikTok live, like around the table thing, to hang out. I don't really go live with anybody. I haven't gone live with anybody on TikTok in probably years or something. I don't really know a lot of TikTokers, either they're YouTube or don't really know them that well like that. So I'd be interested in doing that, hanging out on TikTok. It's pretty interesting hanging out there. There's a lot of different. There's so many creators. So many creators. I don't even know half of them.
Yeah.
So it's always fun to do stuff like that. Yeah, man. Gotta start trading more, bro. Gotta start trading more. That's where the long-term skill is. It's very hard when you're a beginner to become a profitable trader, to the point where you're gaining your life like how you are, right? Like you're a professional trader, right? You live off of this, versus the occasional person that's trying to learn it. But dude, if you can get even close to mastering trading, it's a career. It's a life changing career that you can do from any moment in time, from anywhere in the world. And I believe it's honestly one of the best jobs possible if you can master the skill, right? If you can master the skill,
Yeah.
which takes a lot of discipline, a lot of time, a lot of practice, and a lot of heartache because you're gonna lose money. You're gonna lose a lot of money before you can become
So
a
that's
very
a
good
really
trader.
big that's really big to like leave it on too. And like even like when I was even doing those alerts, right? What I noticed is like, I still lose obviously. So you're gonna take, X amount of 3 out of 10 losses, whatever. But the
Yeah,
key
yeah.
is you got to take small losses and like set yourself up. So what people end up doing a lot too, especially when they're just beginning, or if you're trying to say, I'm gonna go and become a trader, it doesn't care who, I don't care who is teaching you how you're learning. It's going to take you at least 3 to 5 years easy to like replace your day to day, which I almost it's like it's one of the craziest I guess like you just said, like a career path, because it is awesome. Like, cause you can go anywhere, you can take it anywhere, you can be in another country, especially with crypto, it doesn't end, right? So if you're in
Yep.
like anywhere else in the world, like you can almost like trade any time of the day. And but you got to have that risk management and the patience, dude. Like that's the other one too, is that people are not patient.
Oh yeah.
And like for me, even like that 58, whatever, like I actually took a long trade over the weekend, just that I got stopped out on, which was fine because I was like also like had my setup here for the short. And then like waking up today to whatever 61,060, that like to just even have the patience to wait and wait and wait for 58,200. A lot of people can't do it, and especially when they're trying to catch a trade, right? Like so it's like anybody that missed that drop, guess what they're trying to do now? Aimlessly long, right? Because you can't short from here, obviously, because it's just the risk of it bouncing is like too high. Granted, it could very well still keep going lower, but that's people will fumble this. If we eventually break out of this range, people will fumble those moves like crazy, man. And like you can
they use too much leverage and get liquidated with a small move to the upside or the downside. That's another problem too.
You win like 5 trades in a row, and then that 6th one you just go all in, no stop loss. You just this is going to be a big one, and then you get wrecked. Like that's really the biggest key, is like you really have to approach the market as a job. I always like try to tell people, especially when you're beginning too, is treat it like you're a bartender and you're going in for your shift, or you're working like that night, and you don't always know how much money you're going to make. So like one thing people do is they'll go in with $1,000 and they won't close something if it's a profitable trade, whatever. They won't close it at a dollar amount. They'll go for the percentage, right? So it's like I have to have 100% flip. So I'm going to go 20X and I'm just going to, I'm going to close this out at 100%. When in reality, it's like, man, if you get whatever the case is, even no leverage, but you make, 20% on that, or even 10%, and you make $100, $200, $80, whatever the case is, like, look at that, like a day's pay, and like cash that out, move that money to the side, restart with your $1,000 tomorrow and come at it again. Right. Like, and that's just like the best way, in my opinion, to do that. And if you can grow that account and not like turn that negative, you'll be amazing. And once again, it'll still probably take you like 2-3 years before you're in a place where you feel like comfortable. But yeah, no, it's cool.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate your time. I hope everybody that's watching, whether you're watching it now or you're watching it in the future, if you want to be a trader, if you want to learn how to trade, you want to learn some of that stuff, definitely this is the guy to be following. This is the guy to be learning from. Who better than you right now? I mean, of all the traders I know out there, there's only 2 guys, right? You and your ex-partner, which are the best traders that I can think of.
Daddy Magic.
Yeah, like there just really isn't many other good traders with like the level of deep analysis of TA that you do on the charts. Like, I understand, what's his name? Crypto Face, great trader, does very good. But when I see his analysis, it's like it's in his head, but he might not be able to like portray it to the point where I can understand it. So even though he's a very profitable trader, I just can't follow his TA the same way that I can follow like your TA and stuff, because it's just like your TA is more, in my eyes, my personal view, is like more concrete and more digestible versus a lot of different indicators and a lot of things firing off, up, down, then green, red, yellow, whatever. That is just something for me, it just doesn't work. I know it works for other people. Nothing wrong with Market Cipher. A lot of people out there are very profitable with Market Cipher, but it's just your TA, and it's just been the one that stuck to me the most. So if anybody wants to learn how to do TA, definitely this is the guy to be following. CVO, go check him out. Go check out his Discord, and go check out his links: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, all CVO Crypto. And like I said, guys, man, you can come on whenever you want, any day of the week. I'm gonna try to be live streaming again Monday through Friday at least.
Nice.
5 p.m. Eastern time.
Let's do it.
And let's get it, man.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Blockchain Crusader, crusading through these blockchains. See ya.
Crusader!